Welcome into the Plus Odds Pod. I'm Trent Silva and joined as always by my co-host and longtime friend Justin Albert Thomas. Justin, how you doing, my man?
Doing well. It's a weekend. Late recording from us here, but it's week one of NFL football. Excited to recap and dive into that as well. Let's get the ball rolling.
Yeah, no, definitely a little late, and our apologies on that. We're recording today at Saturday, about 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we've seen the Chiefs game. That's the only NFL we've seen though. So yeah, let's give out our picks here. Or what we're gonna do today is just preview the AFC West and the NFC West, and also recap the remainder of our season-long bets. So we'll give out some during this pod, and then recap the ones that we've given out in other season previews, and then that will be the end of our division previews. So we've gotten six down, and we have our last two to go. We're gonna try to move pretty swift, and yeah, let's start it up.
Say less. I'll jump right into the AFC West and kick it off with going with the Broncos. Last season, these guys ended the season 5-12, and we could just pick up right from there. Broncos country, let's ride. I don't have much faith in this squad overall next season. After spending an arm and a leg on Russ last season, the season was dismal. Things continued to spiral this preseason with Jerry Jeudy suffering an injury and being limited on Thursday's practice. The wide receiver room is already thin with Cortland Sutton and Marvell Mims, who's the number 3 wideout, who most people probably don't know. After that, it's 2 wide receivers who are currently on IR, Tim Patrick and Vigil. This just adds to how I feel about the squad overall in terms of moving the ball and giving Russell Wilson those weapons. His challenge has gotten way higher. How do you feel about that, T?
Yeah, no, his challenge. I mean, he's facing an uphill battle. You know, once you're over that hill of around 30, 33, and you start to decline, it's very rare to see a quarterback decline and then improve the next year. And that's what it seems like a lot of people are banking on with Sean Payton coming in and, laying down the law pretty much, telling them this is what we're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. And we're not going to do none of that stuff you were doing before. So, curious to see how he responds to that. And then just curious to see how Peyton truly puts him in a place to succeed. I feel like that's not being talked about enough. We watched Peyton with Breeze over the years, and as Breeze got older and we started to see him have his little noodle arm, for lack of a better word, Peyton was drawing up a scheme to the point where that worked, and that was able to get them to the playoffs and able to get them to, conference championship games and things of that nature. And I feel like with Russell having a whole offseason, he can kind of do the same thing and tailor make this offense towards him. But yeah, just because I didn't start off with it, I'm gonna mention now that the Broncos win total sits at 8.5. Over is -105. The under is 120, and they're 550 to win this division. So, in order for that to happen, in order for them to win the division, a lot needs to happen right on the offensive side of the ball. You mentioned the receivers dropping like flies, and then a lot needs to happen on the defense too. They lost Evero, who by all means was a very good defensive mind, and they're replacing him. So it should definitely, that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. And wait, did you have anything to say about the defense or anything besides that? I was just going to kind of conclude with just talking about who they picked up in free agency. They did get backup running back Samaje Perine from Cincinnati to run behind Williams. So the two-headed monster is the name of the game in the NFL right now. It's kind of like you have to have it to stay afloat in your running back world. So I think that provides a little bit of a security blanket for Russ. The O-line was pretty solid last year, so yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing on the Broncos, just a lot of their problems seem to have been, pre-snap penalties and a lot of stuff that's avoidable, right? It's a lot of just not having discipline. But I think that Peyton, he is like I said, lay down a law, enforcer type guy. I don't see this team having those types of penalties and mistakes that they were having last year. Uh, but yeah, that's where I'll leave it. We'll move on to the prohibited favorites in the AFC West, the Chiefs. They finished the season last year going 14-3, en route to winning their second Super Bowl since 2019. Their win total sits at 11.5, shaded to the over at -135. The under is +110. And like I said, they are favored to win the division at -130. Justin, what do you got on this squad, man? How do you see them being successful? What's your outlook on them this season?
Well, they obviously have one of the greatest coaches of all time in Andy Reid, and I think that he keeps things afloat and moving just as much as they left off last season. They did lose Eric Bieniemy, who was their offensive coordinator last year, and Trent and I were talking about this 2 days ago, just about the overall play level of the offense and what it would look like without is Bieniemy a Hall of Fame running back? I think he is.
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna go back and find that out because I actually didn't even know he was nice like that. So my dad told me. So, anyways, as an offensive mind, someone who played running back in the NFL, I felt like that is a huge benefit to the way that they go about their situational moments in the game. And there was multiple times we weren't supposed to talk about the Thursday night game, but the play calling was it could have been better. Chris Jones is still on the holdout right now, and moving forward, that could be a detrimental hold to their front seven defense. Yeah, the Chiefs have been the Chiefs for like the last 4 years, and Mahomes is going to keep still playing at a high level. That don't get me wrong, that's not going to stop.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just to your Bieniemy point, he led Colorado all time in rushing yards. I think that is what I just read. Yeah, he's Colorado's all-time leader in rushing yards, touchdowns, and all-purpose yards for anyone who was curious about the Eric Bieniemy resume. But yeah, no, to your point about the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, I think that this team has been the blueprint of success over the past few years, and we can't expect them to regress necessarily, at least regress to a certain extent, right? I mean, going from 13-4 to 11-5 isn't the worst regression in the NFL. You know what I mean? But we mentioned the Eric Bieniemy conversation, and I'll say it here, just like I told you. I think that Bieniemy was propped up more than he propped Andy Reid up, right? Like, I think that Andy Reid has been fine in the NFL since, I believe, 97 when he was the head coach to the Eagles until now, and just one offense coordinator for a 4-year stretch isn't making the hugest of difference in his teams. That's just how I look at the situation. But there's more to it than that. You know that they're a little thin in receiver, right? They got rid of Juju after having him win a Super Bowl with them. They have a few rookies out there. I mean, not rookies. They have some
not
young
even
guys.
thin.
Yeah, I mean, they have Justin Ross, second guy. They have second year guy. Sky Moore, second-year guy, brought in Tony. Like, it's a very young receiving core, but the offense runs through Kelsey for the most part. And, yeah, I don't see a reason why this team would be awful. But you look at their schedule, they are set to face a pretty tough schedule. And I will give them that. I'm not going to go through all 17 weeks, but give the Chiefs schedule a look. They're playing a first-place schedule like they do every year because they always win the division. But, yeah, it's looking a little tougher this year. You got anything else?
Not really, because we don't want to dive too far into the game that already happened. The viewers are already aware of the drop situation from the Chiefs wide receiver group and Kelsey sitting out. And actually, while we are on that topic, the tight ends balled out. Let's talk about that. Noah Gray and Justin Watson. Is it Watson? His last name?
I'm pretty sure he's a receiver though. Watson. But no, the tight end. I'll check right now. But yeah, go ahead.
I feel like I don't know why. I just feel like they use him more in like a tight end role or like close to the tackle break off kind of play. But you are right. They balled out, bro. They every time Mahomes needed like a secure catch, that's who he was going to. Mm-hmm. And that group, you could tell they all like train hard, just as hard as Travis Kelce does, because they didn't miss a beat. If we're being completely honest, the tight end group did not miss a beat in that game. It was the wide receivers that didn't pick up the slack. So everyone has their own opinion about the Chiefs. They'll definitely bounce back, but
Whoa, there's nothing to bounce back from, guys. These are Super Bowl champs. They have
I'm
expectations to live up to.
well, yeah, the expectations to live up to, but getting smacked in the mouth at home after Super Bowl unveiling of the ring night
Yeah.
is crazy. Like that's got to be like one of the biggest games of the year. And Detroit, on the other hand, is Detroit back? We'll find out.
Yeah. Hangover for sure. Super Bowl hangover. They talk about it for a reason. And just to answer your question about Watson, Justin Watson, he is a receiver. The other tight end was Blake Bell. That's who else had a pretty good game. But yeah, with that, we can move on to the Los Angeles Chargers, who went 10-7 and made the playoffs last year, but ended up, some would say, choking away their lead after the first half to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the divisional round, or in the wild card round, excuse me. Their win total this year, though, sits at 9.5, shaded to the under. Shaded to the over. The over is -125, unders +105, and they are 220 to win the division. This is a team. I'll kick it off and throw it to you. This is a team that has a change in offensive coordinator with Kellen Moore. They're hoping to open up their offense a little more with that. Herbert's had a low ADOT over the past few years. They're hoping that will bump up with Kellen Moore. They as in the public, and I'd assume the Chargers also. And yeah, Brandon Staley is the head of this defense once again. Thought to be a great defensive mind, but he's definitely coaching on the hot seat this year. And if they don't not only make the playoffs but win a playoffs game, I think he could be out of a job. So yeah, what do you think about the Chargers?
They have a lot to prove. You already talked about the head coaching staff and just overall position groups. They have a lot to make up for, and they have the weapons to do it. That's what the issue is going on right now, at least in my eyes. The team will most likely need weapons on defense, but they did attack that position group in the draft, getting an edge rusher out of USC, a linebacker out of Washington State, and a D lineman out of Boise State. The round 3 pick, I don't want to butcher this, Dian Henley. That's the linebacker from Washington. He was in competition to get the starting role at linebacker up until like the final week of the preseason. So they have faith in him. Right now he's doubtful to play this week. He's suffering a little bit of a hamstring injury, but they got some notable guys to fill in and plug and play. It's just about if they can stop teams. The offense wasn't the issue last year. I can tell you that twice. Question: do you think Austin Eckler's production goes down, or this team becomes more of a 4 wides spread offense?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we saw a lot of in Dallas with Kellen Moore, was very spread out offense. I do, to your point, I think that his production does go down a little bit. I think I mentioned that to you when we were doing a fantasy draft, but mainly because of what I'm hearing is coming out of camp, right? It's that they're trying to take the reins off Herbert, and that he's been working with Lombardi for all these years, and Lombardi's been showing him Drew Brees highlights with his noodle arm, and he's like, you see how he hits the slant route? You see how he doesn't force the ball deep and he hits the flat right here instead? Like, they've been showing him that stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, don't make mistakes. Got it. Check down. And now they're trying to rewire his brain to be like, hey, take those shots downfield. It's okay, right? Throw the ball 70 yards downfield if you think you have a guy. And if you throw a pick on 3rd and 10, that's just a punt. You know what I mean? It's a long punt. But I truly think it might be more than just an offensive coordinator being in his ear telling him to do that, because it's been happening for 3 years, right? Like, that might just be who Justin Herbert is. Justin Herbert might just be no, sure. Calm down. I didn't say that. But he might just be a Brady at the end of his career, Breeze at the end of his career. He might like that, just checking it down, and that's his thing. He's a safe guy, like Rodgers. Rodgers does not throw the ball at the end of the half into the end zone because he doesn't want an interception on his job. Like, straight up, the guy hates picks. And maybe that's how Herbert is. I don't know that for sure, but the situation provides that speculation. You know what I mean? I felt like that was weird. Okay. Yeah, that was a little okay. But yeah.
Vocabulary right there. The audience, y'all.
No, it really does, though, I think. But like I said, that's why it's speculation. We won't know until truly, I think, week 4. Because week 1 isn't just going to show it. But yeah, you got anything else on the Chargers?
Not really. I just did talk about Quentin Johnson, the TCU wide receiver they took in the first round. So their wide receiver group is stacked, bro. They got the people to play well.
Yeah, and with their receivers going down most of the times during the season, they're going to need a young rookie to step up. Johnson is actually a dog, big body X receiver. Wanted the Ravens to draft him.
They got him playing under Keenan Allen, which is, isn't he more of a Mike Williams type?
He is, yeah, and I think he'll be used in that role once they use him.
Okay.
Yeah. But let's move on to the last team of this division and kind of the forgotten team, the Las Vegas Raiders. They finished the season 6-11 last year, en route to not making the playoffs and going home. But this year they're looking for even bigger and better things. Their win total sits at 6.5, with the under is shaded at -130, and they are currently 18-1 to win this division. Justin, what do you think about this confusing situation that is the Las Vegas Raiders?
Confusing is actually a interesting term. I gotta ask you about that, because in my eyes, the Raiders are 100% gearing up to make a fight in the AFC next year. With the offseason, duh.
I just want to make sure. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I said duh to myself because we're talking, bro, we've been doing too many of these.
I got you. It starts to blend in. Sorry about that.
It does. With the offseason addition of Jimmy G and departure of Derek Carr, Raiders believe they got their guy. And Devontae Adams is going to have another stellar year. I'm calling it right now. The offense also re-signed Josh Jacobs to a 1-year contract, so expect him to be balling out because he was holding out all the way up until a week ago. In the offseason, just as they made new additions, they also lost some key components, getting rid of Darren Waller to the Giants, but quickly scooping up a replacement in Austin Hooper from Cleveland. I think he was in Cleveland last year. So that is a pretty solid backup. And Waller's actually already questionable for this game on Sunday night. So in the Raiders' eyes, they're probably like, we're dodging a bullet right here. They also picked up Tyree, the defensive end from the New York Giants. I said David Tyree because that's the Super Bowl guy who caught the ball. Yeah, whatever.
You're talking about. I'm sorry. I just have to correct you. You're talking about Tyree Wilson, the rookie out of Texas Tech, I believe.
Edge rusher?
Yeah.
I don't think he's a rookie.
I promise you, he just went in the draft.
So how did the Raiders get him from the? Unless, nah. We got to be talking about two different people.
You talking about the defense, the edge rusher?
Edge rusher that the Raiders got from the Giants.
Yeah, I don't know who they got from the Giants, but the guy with the name Tyree, I'm talking about Tyree Wilson. He's the edge rusher that they drafted. Sorry, go ahead. Maybe we are talking about different people.
Hold on, now you got me looking.
Now you're looking at the depth chart.
Giant, Las Vegas edge rusher. Yeah. Well, anyways, I'll conclude this and then pass it to you. They also lost Mac Hollins, who went straight into the weight room in the offseason. He looks yacked for Atlanta right now. So Jimmy G has the weapons, and the front seven in Las Vegas is solid with Chandler Jones and Crosby. So I think they do 100%. I think they do better than 6-11 for sure.
Yeah, that's a hot take. That's a hot take, brother. To me, it is. At least I don't know if they do better than 6-11. I think this team has two ranges of outcomes, right? They're either going to be looking at the number 1 pick, or they're going to
number 1 pick.
Yeah, we're barely missing out on the playoffs, dude. I look at this defense and I am not sold. By the way, you may have been talking about
Tyree Wilson.
I had a feeling. All right, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
That's the guy. Yeah, that's the rookie out of Texas Tech. But yeah, you look at this defense, and it's Max Crosby and friends, man. Like, there's been I know they have Chandler Jones still. He had a whole situation calling the cops to his house. Something that I don't know the extent of it. I just know that it was a situation that may have happened in the past, and it came up again. But yeah, this defense isn't going to scare you away with Robert Spillane and Marcus Peters. Like that's not about to happen, right? And then you look at the offense, and that's where I think they could be all right, right? This is where their bread is buttered with Jimmy G, a system quarterback, coming back into his OG system with Josh McDaniels when he spent time with him out in New England. You're putting weapons around him like Devontae Adams, Renfro, his old buddy Myers, and a good running game in Jacobs, right? You hit on all those things. But that's never really been their problem, is them scoring points. Like the Raiders have always been able to score points. I think what it's going to come down to is, can they stop anyone? And can they stop anyone in this division is the biggest question. And I personally just, I don't see it. I
You
don't
don't think they're stopping the Broncos?
Man, I could see them splitting a game with them, but
We're gonna find out tomorrow. So
no, we're not. Yeah, we are.
yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are.
You got me tripping. I'm like,
Yeah.
hold up now. I swear the Raiders are playing the Broncos, bro.
No, they definitely are.
In Denver too, and the Raiders are dogs.
Yeah, as they should be. The altitude in Denver is crazy, but
yeah, you're right.
yeah, but we're gonna get into that on the next episode. But yeah, that's all I got on the Raiders, man. I'm not very high on this team. I think that they could be looking at a number top 5 pick this year. I'll just leave it at that. Next year in the draft.
Say less.
Oops, sorry, I had the mic. Yeah, my fault. I will move us on over to the NFC West, where we have another prohibited favorite in the San Francisco 49ers. They're finished last season 13-4. Their win total is set at 10.5, juiced heavily to the over at -145, and the under take back is plus 125. And their odds to win the division, you have to lay -190. $190 will win you 100 to say the 49ers win the division. Justin, do you think that that's warranted, them being favored? And just what do you think about this team?
The Niners?
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely believe they should be the favorite. They are obviously the front runner in this division. Cardinals are going to be poop. Rams are in disarray right now. Cooper Kupp just got put on IR like an hour ago for the first 4 games of the season. I think they jump right into first place just as where they left off. They just signed Bosa to that monstrous deal. He's what? Is he the highest paid as rusher right now? I think so. Yeah, he is. So former DPOY looking to make another run at it next year. Or this season, not next year. I keep saying it because we're talking about it and y'all get it. This will be a true test for Purdy. That right now the locker room or the quarterback room in San Francisco is weird. And the only reason I say it's weird is because what Jimmy G said about when Trey Lance got traded. And he was like, I don't know what's going on, because that was supposed to be his successor, got him, and damn near it's looking like one of the worst draft picks in the last 15 years or so. We're not gonna deem it Jamarcus Russell level yet, but it's I mean, yeah, like,
hey, at least they weren't afraid to put out Jamarcus Russell because they were afraid of what other teams would see and not want to trade for him. All right, like that's you know my view on the Trey Lance situation.
I don't think Trey Lance was doing that bad. That injury, was he okay? I mean, I'm seeing blinks. I'm seeing eye movements. They were trying to run RPOs with him, and like he got cooked running the ball too much. That's what happened. And I don't know. That is a weird situation. Taking him that high, I wasn't big on anyways, because I'm not a big fan of North Dakota State quarterbacks. I.e., JMU plays them every year in championship, and I know that they usually have a good quarterback, but the competition obviously is not just like leveling out or being equivalent to that. So we will see about the.
I'm sorry. I felt like we went on a whole tangent. Let's reel that tangent back in. I just think not Purdy, sorry. The whole Trey Lance situation, we shouldn't even be talking about it because he's not on the team, but they got rid of him. And I mean, I think a lot to do with it was because Shanahan's offense, he is known to prop quarterbacks up, right? Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy. These guys are known to look good in the system. Even back in his 2017 days with not Peter, I'm blanking on the names, right? But Case Keenum, for instance, like these guys can thrive in his offense. Now, Trey Lance comes into the league, thrown into the best situation possible. However, he threw 350 career passes in college, right? To put that in perspective for you,
350.
To put that in perspective, Sam Howell didn't have a season under 340 in college. Sam Howell. Okay, he went to North Carolina. He won the third round. I don't know if you know about him. He didn't have under 350 in one season. That guy had 350 attempts his whole college career. I think he got to the 49ers. Shanahan didn't want him in the first place. He sees, what the hell are you giving me? I'm asking him to point and shoot, and he's shooting himself in the foot. Like, what's going on? And they've decided to move on from that and accept their L. That's how I feel about the situation. But that shouldn't affect our views on the 49ers this year and their offense as a whole, because maybe Purdy is better than that. What do you think about that?
Maybe Purdy is better than that. And
well, he's shown us he is.
He is. And if he doesn't get injured in that game last season, they might mess around and win that joint. So we'll really see what it's cracking to. They got a great test at week 1. Best team in America. So, yeah.
That's a stretch. But, no, they definitely do have a test. They do have tests all year, and I think that is going to be where this story is really made, right? Like, they have to face way harder defense. Purdy came in and did great. I can't take anything away from that. He didn't lose a game that he played in, right? So all credit to that. But he wasn't playing a murderous rows of defense. You look at the defenses they had to face this year, and there's some that – I could see giving him problems, right? Like you mentioned, the Steelers week 1, the Cowboys week 5. They end up facing Todd Bowles' defense. They see the Bengals with Lou Anarumo. There's a lot of, the Eagles, for instance, see them again. There's a lot of teams that could be very good that they're going to see, or could have very good defenses that they're going to be facing.
That you're right about. And I feel like everyone in this division is kind of just fed up with the 49ers running the table for the last couple of years. So I see more competitive division games. The Seahawks are definitely coming to play this year.
And that is a great segue into our next team, which is the Seattle Seahawks. They finished 9-8 last year and also made the playoffs. However, they lost first round to the team we just talked about, the 49ers. And this season, though, their win total sits at 9.5. The shaded to the unders minus 155, overs plus 125, and their odds to win the division are plus 230. I'll just disclose right now, I bet the Seahawks to win the division early in the offseason before we knew if Purdy was good to go. I just thought that there was no reason the 49ers should be favored when they had a question mark at quarterback. And to be honest, I think they still do have a question mark at quarterback. Purdy's coming off a UCL surgery, pretty much Tommy John. We are not sure how he's going to produce after that, So I still do like the Seahawks to win this division. I think that Geno really had a resurgence last year. That defense that Seattle has is very scary with Wolin. I mean, the young talent that's coming up there. And yeah, I see this team making noise in the NFC West and not just being little bro again. What do you think?
Definitely not going to be little bro this season. They had crazy amount of draft picks, and they got Jackson Smith and Jigba at Ohio State. Their first round pick, or their first round pick, because they picked twice in the first, was Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. So they're gearing up to make that defense stacked, like to add on to Woolen, who's already there and balled out last season. They're bringing back some old guys from Boom. So Bobby Wagner's back on the squad, and they also added more depth with getting Devin Bush from Pittsburgh. So yeah, I'm sorry. It's 31-7. Colorado's smoking them. All right.
I was wondering, I'm like, why does the guy just cut out?
Yeah, cut out because I saw great things just happen. But to pick it right from where I left off, those are notable names to add on to a defense who's already playing at a high level, and let alone all the late round defensive pickups that they got in the draft. So we will see how they fare in this division. And Gino, what is it? What was the saying? The haters called, he didn't pick up.
Yeah, the doubters called. Oh no, they
Yeah,
tried to write me off. They tried to
they
write me
tried to
off.
write him
I ain't
off.
write back though.
He did not write back. Gino still has not written back. So
No.
I'm actually, I think we talked about this when we were wrapping up last season, just about the bounce back of Geno Smith. Like he's been in the league forever. He's been in the league for a solid, let's say 8 seasons now.
More
Maybe
than that.
long,
More than
more
that.
than 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
That just goes to sorry, if you don't mind,
No,
I'll
you
take it.
go ahead.
That just goes to my point about that I always say about rookie quarterbacks being forced to play in the NFL and not have any time to sit behind someone and learn, right? Like he is the prime example of that. Geno Smith came into the NFL, forced into a poverty franchise, right?
And they
Didn't
dogged him. For that. They dogged him for that.
dog them, right? Wanted to write him off so quick. Then he goes and sits behind Russell Wilson, Eli Manning. I believe he sat behind in New York, right, for a little bit. And I'm missing one other team. And he comes back and after these years of learning actually and learning a system and learning things from these great quarterbacks, he comes back and he dogs. So that's just a little tangent I got. If your team ever drafts a quarterback, you want him to sit at least a little bit the first year, man. Like imagine Pickett had been out there week 1 instead of Trubisky. You know that
I
who
wanted that
knows?
to happen. I
Yeah,
was still shaky about it,
every
but
fan wants it. I never won it. I saw Lamar come into the league. I was so happy that Flacco was still playing. And then when Lamar came in, it was amazing news. Amazing. But just on to the points of the Seahawks, man. You mentioned all those draft picks. They can shout out Russell Wilson for all of those. I think, just talking about the young talent, Smith and Jigba, he was good at Ohio State when he was healthy. I'm curious to see if he can stay healthy in the NFL. They hit a little harder than they do in the Big Ten. But the true questions are just like the tackles, really. Charles Cross and Abram Lucas, they were drafted pretty high, and they weren't great last year, but they were also rookie tackles. So they're hoping that they could take that next step and truly come onto the scene, along with Zach Charbonnet, who's a rookie also out of UCLA, good running back. Pair him with Kenneth Walker, and I think that's a scary RB duo. Don't forget on defense, they still have Jamal Adams. And yeah, I think that's where this group is going to be even more improved is on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm curious to see what they got. And I do like them to win this division, truly. The Rams, the Rams, the Rams, the Rams. It seems like just a couple years ago they were returning off a Super Bowl win and expected to do the same thing. But this season, not so much. Their win total sits at 6.5. The over is -105, under 115. And they're 10-1 to win this division, plus 1,000 for all of my FanDuel folks that love hearing that word. They're plus 1,000 to win this division. And it's warranted. It's warranted in my opinion. You mentioned the Cooper Kupp injury a second ago. There's not much to the offense beyond him. I know you still have guys like Higbee and the quarterback Stafford, of course,
Van
but
Jefferson's still there.
yeah. So like I said, there's not much behind Kupp, and then you have guys. I mean, they brought in LaFleur, right, from the Jets. They're hoping to change the offense a little bit. And maybe they will. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. McVay is a genius. He's a great offensive mind. I'm not going to call him a genius just yet. That word's reserved for Bill. But he's a great offensive mind. You like to think that they won't struggle on offense the same as they did last season. However, you look at the defensive side of the ball, and this is the only 2 points I want to make, so I'm going to give it to you after this. You look at the defense side of the ball. Out of the 9 starters that played more than 50 snaps last year, only two of those 9 starters are returning. Right? That's Aaron Donald, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the other name. But 7 of the 9 guys left that played more than 50% of the snaps. So you have pretty much a whole new defense that wasn't great to begin with last year. I just don't know if that's a recipe for disaster, and I tend to think that it is. What do you think about this Rams team?
Yeah, we're in the same boat. I'm in agreement. 7 key players that played that amount of snaps is huge. Then like you said, their defense wasn't good before. So the fact that they are now missing 7 of those players that they weren't good with before, they're putting in newer talent or talent that doesn't know the system as well as what they had before or wasn't there as long. So Yeah, I don't see the Rams being. This division might be kind of rough, honestly, between Cardinals, Rams, and Raiders. So 49ers definitely might run away with this. Sorry about your future bet, but wait,
Calm
am
down.
I? Yeah, yeah.
Don't.
I'm tripping. I'm tripping. I'm mentioning the Raiders, and I'm in the wrong one.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. You're good. You're
Um,
good. They blend.
Slightly, but yeah, that I'm in kind of we're in agreement in terms of the squad moving forward.
Love to hear it. Just one last thing on the team. I wouldn't be me if I didn't mention the offensive line. PFF has them ranked as the 28th best offensive line. If Noteboom is still the left tackle, it could get bad. If he doesn't take that step, he was really bad. He allowed 5 sacks in 6 games, right? Like the guy was not. Granted, 3 of them came in the season opener against Buffalo, and the other 2 against Bosa, but like that is not great. Okay, and by any stretch of the imagination, and you look at the offensive line as a total. I mean, as a whole. Granted, they were injured a lot, but 10 different linemen surrendered sacks, right? Like that is not what you want out of a group to hold up your broken Matthew Stafford, but or easily broken, I should say. That's what the Rams are
Easily
looking at
broken.
this year.
Whoa.
And I mean, the guy's been through a lot, man. I watched him pop his shoulder. He's a tough motherfucker. He
He's been
popped
in
his
the
shoulder
league
out in
for
Detroit.
since Katrina.
Yeah. Is that the new demarcator? Like, have you been in the league since Katrina?
Right, what was that? 05, 06?
Yeah. No, it's been a
Yeah,
while.
that's 18 years.
Nah, yeah, he has. He has hit that 18 mark, hasn't he? Holy shit. Man. He's seen a lot of guys come in and out
We're
the
old.
NFL.
That
Yeah.
makes us old because we seen Stafford play at Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't watching college football back then, I'll be honest. But yeah, no, he
Very vaguely. That's like when Reggie Bush and all of them were playing.
yeah, I'm saying he's seen some guys come in and out the league. Like I just thought Calvin Johnson, and I'm just like, holy shit, there's so many more. LT, like, oh my God. But yeah, uh, that's hilarious. On to the next team and the final team, the Arizona Cardinals. Don't think we're gonna spend too much time on them. Last season they went 4-13 after losing their quarterback in around week 12, I want to say, around that area. They lost Kyler Murray to an ACL injury. He's still recovering off that. Uh, this team's win total is at 3.5. The over is shaded, minus 145, but the under plus 120. And they are 35-1 to win this division. I'll be swift. They're doing as much as they can to tank without tanking, and I respect the hell out of it. I'm gonna be honest, right? Like these guys said, "Yo, we got Colt McCoy." Granted, Colt McCoy isn't a top caliber quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, but he can
Hold
win you.
my
He can
yeah.
win you a few games on accident. That's how I look at Colt McCoy, right?
Facts.
He'll win you a few games and he'll cover some spreads. And he's no longer on the team. They bring in Josh Dobbs, who's kind of the rent a QB in the NFL nowadays. He's slated to start week 1. They have offensive coordinator who's never called plays in the NFL. They have a defensive coordinator who's never been a defensive coordinator in the NFL. Like they're doing as much as they can to say, yeah, we really don't give a fuck about this season, and we want Caleb Williams if we could have him, or whoever, or trade that pick, whatever it is. But they're trying to solidify their top 3 pick. That's all I got. What do you got on the Cardinals?
These guys are gonna suck this season. I mean, to put it lightly, we're in agreement with the squad too. When we saw Colt go, we were kind of both like, these guys are giving up without saying it. Kyler's still recovering from the injury. You mentioned that as well. Josh Dobbs is this his first starting job?
No. Well, like starting job to start the season, yes.
Yes.
But he
like,
started two other games in the NFL.
Yeah, he started before like the starting quarterback of the game, but this is like his first time before the season opening game. He's the starting quarterback. He's the guy with the green dot on the offense right now. So
And he got there 2 weeks ago.
yeah, but Josh Dobbs is smart, bro. He was like, if you remember, he was supposed to go to NASA. He worked for NASA for a period of time, which was just like he was like, yeah, football is like my second dream. I'm gonna be like an astronaut. And I was like, all right, fucking Jimmy Neutron. But Yeah, Cardinals are gonna be garbo juice, and they got rid of our man B Cobb, so we're not rocking with the Cardinals. So
Yeah, right, bro. The Cards suck, bro. What the hell? They needed to keep my man's there. But yeah, no, I'm with you. One last thing, just on the Kyler Murray stuff. If he gets better, I say it like he has a cold. If he gets healthy by week 12,
if he takes
and
some Mucinex PM,
if you just give him enough ibuprofen by week 12, I think he'll be no, I'm kidding. But in all seriousness, if he's healthy, right, even by let's say week 13, and they're 4-8, or shoot, that would be a big deal. They would have hit their win total. If they're 3-9, I don't see them trotting him back out there. Like they're gonna look at the season as a wash. It's like Kyler, stay at home, take your time, get ready, don't force it. You know. So, but hey, at the end of the day, week 1, every team thinks they can win, and they're gonna try their hardest early in the season. I think this is the team you look to fade late in the season once the morale goes down. And by the way, have you seen Gannon? Have you
Gannon,
seen Gannon, bro? This guy is just
Rich.
no. They're the new coach.
Oh, I was about to say like
Their
what?
new coach. This guy is out of his mind. The reporters are saying he's boring them. He's coming in the locker room, giving non-motivational speeches, not rah-rahing me at all. I saw Cliff Kingsbury not be able to rah-rah, and I saw how that went like year in and year out. So I'm
Yeah,
curious.
they were laughing at Cliff.
Yeah, deserved. But yeah, thank you all for sticking around. That is the end of our season previews. Right now, I will give out all of our season-long bets. We have them in a tracker. We'll be tracking them all year. But me and Justin both have the Lions to win the NFC North. I have the Bears under 7.5 wins. Justin has the Steelers over 8.5 wins. I have the Ravens over at 9.5 wins at -170. Have the Eagles under 11.5 wins. The Cowboys to win the NFC East. Patriots to win over 6.5 games. And then the Seahawks, as I just gave out, to win the division. So those are all of our season-long bets. If you haven't listened to any of the previews before, give them a listen. Let us know what you think. If you haven't seen us on YouTube yet, we are on YouTube. I will be posting this. Plus Odds Pod. Type in the @ before if you want to get there real quick. And yeah, that's all I got. We will be following this episode up with a week one previews, predictions, drive picks, all of it, right? Everything that you're used to if you've listened before. And if not, tune in. We'll give out the best place that we have on the board. That's all I got, Justin. You got anything else?
Nothing on my end. Talk
All right.
soon.
Well, enjoy the first weekend of football. I hope the Sunday ticket hits like it's never hit before. And we'll talk to you soon.